So there's a lot of things you could do over here. We're not going to get into all of these parameters today, but let's turn our attention to another MIDI clip now. And this MIDI clip is going to be a little bit different, meaning that it's not going to actually load in an ALC. It's not going to load in a preview for us. And I'll show you what I mean. So if I click and drag it in like this, okay, you'll notice that there's not a clip anymore. All right, but next to it, you'll see these little circles here. This is letting me know, oh, I can actually record my own notes in real time. And then down here, you're going to see what is called this is an instrument rack. And again, inside the instrument rack is where you could really see what's going on under the hood. And remember, this actual preset came from the wavetable synthesizer. So now we're not working with samples. Right now, technically, we're working with oscillation. Okay, so for any of you who are interested in diving deeper into sound design, we have a wonderful program on that. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole right now with you, but we talk about synthesis versus sampling and different types of synthesis, from wavetable to subtractive to additive, like FM frequency modulation, etc. But for now, so what I'm using is a wavetable synthesizer with built-in macro parameters. And what I can do, rather than playing around and manipulating someone else's loop drum pattern, I can maybe record my own notes in. Okay, so let's turn our attention to the arrangement view. So this is something I showed you how to do in the last segment with audio clips, but moving from the session view into the arrangement view, I can click, hold down the track itself. Okay, and so now I have my MIDI clip here. And if I want, maybe I can hit Command D to duplicate it. So it's at least playing for 8 measures. Okay, and let's just play this real quick so we can hear it. And by the way, I can get rid of these audio clips too. If I don't want these in here, I can just say, okay, goodbye audio clips, because today I'm only working with MIDI. So we have a drum loop, and to hear what's happening here, if I wanted to, again, let's say my limitation right now is I only have a desktop laptop keyboard. Okay, desktop laptop, just a computer keyboard. So if I hit the A key, you can hear I'm triggering a note. And if I hit X, maybe I want to go a little bit higher. I'm going to go up the keyboard register. Okay, let me turn this down a little bit. So I'm going to just in real time record some notes in from my computer keyboard. Okay, and I'll show you a couple different ways you can approach this, but let me just show you the first way to approach this, where you could come up here and I'm gonna hit record, and it's gonna do a countdown of 4 clicks because of how I have my metronome set up, and then after those 4 clicks, it's go time. So here we go. Okay, so this was just a quick little performance of playing some chords, and I could come back here and then listen. Now, was it the best performance ever? No, okay, I'll admit that, but that's okay. The good news is that I can now get inside these MIDI notes that I've recorded, and I can edit them further. So let's say, yes, okay, I'm not a robot. I'm not gonna perfectly be snapped right to the quantization interval perfectly, right? There's a way to quantize the parts so they're snapped more to the grid. And by doing that, because I can highlight all of these notes like this, I can right click inside and say, let's go to the Quantize Settings. And it'll ask me, what do you want to adjust these notes to? Do you want to adjust them to 8th notes, 16th notes? Okay. And because I'm actually just playing quarter notes, I could go ahead and set it to quarter notes and hit OK. And now you'll see all these quarter notes are being added, but also the other thing that it's doing is it's extending these notes out, which is not a big deal because I can click on this brace here and drag them back like this. But now they should be perfectly snapped to the grid. So when I play this back, So that's one way to approach this. Let me show you another way to approach this. Let's say in real time, you would like these notes to be quantized as you play along. And this is a really neat feature. I like this feature a lot in Ableton. So if you come up here and you go to the edit section, scroll down to where it says record quantization. And under record quantization, I could say, okay, because I'm playing quarter notes, let's set it to that. Or maybe just in case I end up playing some faster notes later on, or I'm going to play more than one section of a note per measure, I could set it to eighth note quantization. All right. So when I do that, even if I start to play off beat, okay, by accident, Ableton will adjust those notes to the nearest eighth note. Okay. So watch. Now I'm just going to improvise here. I'm just going to play some chords. And again, I'm playing on my tiny little laptop keyboard. And I'm going to hit arm. I'm going to hit record. Okay. Now, was that perfect playing? No. Okay. I could hear some moments where my playing was off a little bit, but take a close look at the MIDI. You see how it's perfectly snapped to the grid? That's not me. That's not me playing nicely. That is because the record quantization helped me out, assisted me. So do you always need that on? No. Is it a great tool to help you stay in time? Absolutely. So for those of you who are brand new to recording in real time and you need a little assistance here, that's another way to approach it. However, let's say you don't want it to be perfect. Let's play devil's advocate here for a moment. The complete opposite. Let's say some of you do play piano and you play an instrument and you are pretty good at staying in time yourself. Okay, you're comfortable, you're doing this for a while, and you don't want that quantization to influence your decision so much, meaning that you want it to still have retain some type of human feel. Okay, is there a way so that you can maybe have the quantization be off time a little bit? Is there a way so the velocity is not perfectly clean all the way across, hitting the exact note or hitting the exact velocity setting? Absolutely. Okay, and the way you can do this, a really awesome feature in Ableton, is what is called the groove pool. Okay, or technically it's the groove folder, and then inside there's something called the groove pool. So if I wanted to purposely unsnap these notes a little bit and play around with the velocity settings, all I have to do is come over here and hit this hot swap toggle button like this, and then inside here, okay, by the way, this lives in the category section, but the hot swap is one of the awesome features in Ableton where it'll get you right to where you need to go. And in this case, I have if you're looking at your folder and you're not seeing as many Ableton Groove files, that's okay. I've downloaded multiple packs in the past, and there's a lot of great resources out there to download more if you'd like. However, and you can create your own custom grooves, by the way, but Ableton already comes with a lot of stock grooves, which can be really fun to use. So for example, if I look at, say, some of my favorites, like this disco live feel, okay? That's the little click that you're hearing is playing to 16th notes. So I double click on that, and it will automatically go into what's called the groove pool, okay? And it will show you the base of it is set to rhythmic divisions of 16th notes. The quantization is set to 0. The timing is set to 100%. The randomness is set to 0, so you can adjust that accordingly as well. And the velocity sensitivity is set to 50%, okay? So what you can do is you can preview, if I highlight, make sure I highlight all the notes, but I can preview what the velocity will do to this, and it might not seem that extreme at first. Let's just play it so you can get an idea. Okay. You might be able to hear it, you might not. It might not be that obvious, but what makes it more obvious is when I finally commit to this groove. Now that might seem intimidating, like commit. Is there a way to undo it? Of course, Command Z. You can always undo this and choose a different groove if you want. You can mix and match grooves if you want as well. But before I commit to this, I could come up here and play around with the settings some more. So I want to make this a little bit more extreme. And I'm going to go ahead and bring the velocity up to 100%. Okay. And the global groove amount, I'm going to increase that to 110. And now I'm going to go ahead and hit commit and watch. You're going to see some things change over here. The velocity sensitivity is going to change. It's not going to be this nice, perfectly straight line across. And then the quantization is going to be a little bit different. Okay, so I'm going to click right here. Okay. And so if you take a look at some of my notes. Okay. They're not going to be perfectly lined up. They're actually all going to be off just a little bit. And when you do that, it actually makes this a little bit more interesting. And if it's still not enough, if you're like, you know what, that groove settings were not extreme enough, you might need to do something like adjust the velocity range, which can be done here. Okay. And there's even a cool little feature where you could set it to randomize, where it'll just randomly select areas to adjust the velocity on your behalf. Click it like this, and now you see a bunch of different velocity ranges that have been changed. And the cool thing is that also you'll see the notes will change from lighter to darker, and the darker the note, the lighter, or the more extreme the velocity, the brighter the note, the less velocity has been altered or modulated.